I don't think I'll ever forget the sting of that night. My name's Daniel, and I had been married to Emily for almost 9 years. We'd had our ups and downs, sure, but I thought, naively, that at the core of it all, there was respect. Love even. That illusion shattered in the most humiliating way possible. It was a Saturday evening, and Emily had invited a couple of her friends over. Normally, I'd make myself scarce, maybe retreat to the study or go for a drive, but that night I stayed home, finishing up some work in the garage. The house wasn't huge, and voices carried easily through the vents. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when I heard my own name, I paused. Daniel? One of her friends laughed. You're lucky he puts up with all your moods. That's when Emily's voice cut through, sharp, dismissive, dripping with disdain. Lucky? Please. He's a fool. A complete doormat. Always saying yes, always cleaning up my messes, never standing up for himself. Honestly, I don't even know why he tries so hard. It's pathetic. Her friends laughed nervously, but Emily kept going, fueled by her own cruel amusement. I swear, I could tell him to sleep in the backyard and he'd grab a blanket without arguing. That's who he is. My little obedient fool. My chest tightened, heat rising to my face. The words weren't just careless. They were revealing. This wasn't a slip of the tongue. This was how she truly saw me. I should have stormed in, yelled, demanded answers. But instead, I stood frozen in the shadows, my heart pounding with a strange calm. Because in that moment, something inside me snapped. Not in rage, but in clarity. She thought I was a doormat? She had no idea the man she was underestimating. That night, as the laughter echoed upstairs, I made a decision that would change everything. I didn't confront her that night. No shouting match, no dramatic reveal. Instead, I slipped into bed hours after her friends had left, pretending nothing had happened. But inside, the wheels were already turning. For years, I had sacrificed my own needs, bending over backward to make Emily happy. Every compromise, every yes when I wanted to say no, had been me trying to protect our marriage. But now I understood. Those sacrifices had only fed her contempt. The next morning, I woke before her. Normally, I'd make coffee, cook breakfast, and wait for her to wake up with a smile. But not this time. I poured 1 cup, just for myself, ate in silence, and headed out for a long drive. When I came back hours later, Emily was pacing the kitchen, irritated. Where were you? You could have at least told me, she snapped. I simply shrugged. Out. Her brows furrowed, as if my lack of explanation was some sort of rebellion. And in a way it was. A small one. But it felt good. Over the next week, I began pulling back piece by piece. I stopped rushing to do her errands, stopped rearranging my schedule for her last-minute whims, stopped cushioning every conversation with apologies. The more space I gave myself, the more unsettled she became. One evening she demanded, "Why are you acting different? You're usually so accommodating." I looked her in the eye, steady, unshaken. Maybe I just got tired of being treated like a fool. For the first time, her face drained of color. She didn't know what I had heard, but she knew I wasn't playing the same role anymore. That's when the cracks began to show. She accused me of being distant, of neglecting her. She tried turning up the charm, then the anger, then the guilt trips. But none of it worked. Because I had already made my choice. In the quiet of my study, late at night, I had pulled out the papers I never thought I'd touch, the divorce forms. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. And as I signed my name at the bottom, I realized Emily had been wrong about me all along. I wasn't her doormat. I was her wake-up call. The day I handed Emily the divorce papers, she laughed at first. A sharp, mocking sound, as if I'd told her the funniest joke she'd ever heard. "You," she scoffed. "You'd never leave me. You need me. Who's going to cook for you? Remind you to pay bills? You can't survive without me." But I didn't flinch. "You've mistaken kindness for weakness, Emily. And that's your biggest mistake." Her smile faltered. She searched my face, waiting for the usual hesitation, the softening, the second-guessing. It never came. For the first time in years, I wasn't looking at her as my wife. I was looking at her as the person who had spent years eroding my dignity. "You think you're punishing me?" she sneered. I'll take the house. The savings. You'll be crawling back. I slipped an envelope across the table. Inside was everything. A meticulous account of our finances, legal representation she hadn't expected me to secure, and a calm, airtight plan that left her no room to manipulate. Her eyes widened as she flipped through the pages. You planned this? I listened to you call me a fool, I said quietly. But I was standing right there. And while you were busy underestimating me, I was preparing my exit. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. She couldn't find the words because deep down, she knew the truth. The man she had mocked, belittled, and dismissed had finally chosen himself. In the weeks that followed, I felt lighter than I had in years. The house didn't feel like a prison anymore. It felt like freedom. Friends I'd drifted from reached out, and I rebuilt pieces of myself I didn't even realize I had lost. The final time I saw Emily, she tried one last jab. You'll regret this. Men like you always do. I smiled, calm, steady. No, Emily. Men like me finally wake up. And with that, I walked away, not as the fool she thought I was, but as the man who decided his worth was greater than her cruelty. She once called me a doormat. She was right about one thing. People step on doormats, until the doormat gets up and walks away.